GM just humiliated Trump and he's completely losing it. It's a headline you never expected to see, an American corporate giant standing up to the President of the United States. But here we are, and the clash between General Motors and Donald Trump is unfolding in a way that has everyone talking. For years, GM has been seen as the backbone of American industry, but recently, it's been making bold moves that have raised eyebrows across the nation. Now it's clashing head-on with Trump's America First agenda, and the stakes have never been higher. What exactly did GM do to provoke such an extreme response? How did Trump react to this perceived betrayal of his policies? And most importantly, how is this going to affect you, your wallet, your car, and the future of the car market? What's happening? General Motors, the company that has symbolized American innovation for over a century, decides it's time to break the mold. It announces a plan to ramp up international production and double down on electric vehicles. On the surface, it's a logical move for a company adapting to a changing market. But here's the twist. It's also a direct challenge to Trump's economic policies. For Trump, who has built his brand on promises of bringing jobs back to American soil, GM's decision feels like a slap in the face. This isn't just about where cars are made, it's about what those decisions represent. Trump's America First agenda is rooted in the idea that American companies should prioritize American workers. GM's move? It's the exact opposite. The tension has been building for years. GM has always been a global player, relying on international markets and supply chains to stay competitive. But its recent focus on Mexico, a key manufacturing hub, has drawn sharp criticism from Trump. And now, with its new plans for electric vehicles, GM seems to be doubling down on global expansion at a time when Trump is demanding the exact opposite. But let's not forget, this isn't just about politics. GM is a business, and businesses adapt to survive. In an era where sustainability and innovation are key drivers, GM is betting big on electric vehicles. The question is, can it do so without alienating the American workforce and the American president? A collision of power and strategy. The conflict between General Motors and Donald Trump escalated quickly. What started as a bold business decision has turned into a full-blown power struggle. On one side, you have the largest car manufacturer in the United States, a symbol of innovation and global influence. On the other hand, the president has built his political identity around protecting American workers and bringing manufacturing jobs back to United States soil. General Motors' announcement to focus on electric vehicles and increase its global manufacturing footprint was more than just a corporate decision. It was a statement. But for Donald Trump, it felt like a declaration of defiance. The tension was palpable as Trump launched a series of public criticisms, accusing General Motors of betraying American workers and undermining his vision for the country's economic future. Let's take a closer look at what this means. When General Motors announced its commitment to sustainability and international expansion, it sent shockwaves through both the political and business worlds. To understand the scale of this escalation, consider the numbers. General Motors revealed plans to invest billions of dollars in electric vehicle production and infrastructure. While this aligns with global trends, it contrasts starkly with Trump's push for domestic manufacturing. From Trump's perspective, this wasn't just a business move, it was a rejection of his America First policy, which he has championed since his time in the White House. His belief is simple: companies operating in the United States should prioritize American jobs and minimize reliance on foreign production. General Motors' decision to expand its operations in other countries, particularly in Mexico, stands in stark opposition to this ethos. But what does this mean for General Motors? For General Motors, the stakes are enormous. By choosing to pursue a global strategy, the company is taking a calculated risk. It's betting that the demand for electric vehicles and the efficiencies of international production will outweigh the backlash from American consumers and politicians. But this decision isn't without consequences. Trump's criticisms have sparked a wave of debate, with some questioning whether General Motors is prioritizing profits over patriotism. Let's talk numbers. General Motors has committed to allocating over $10 billion toward the development of electric vehicles over the next decade. While this figure is impressive, it also underscores the challenges the company faces. Electric vehicles require significant investment in research and development, as well as new infrastructure for production and charging networks. These investments often involve international partnerships, which complicates the narrative of supporting American workers. Meanwhile, the company's reliance on overseas production has also drawn scrutiny. General General Motors operates several manufacturing facilities in Mexico, a decision that allows the company to reduce costs and remain competitive in a global market. However, this strategy has made it a target for critics like Donald Trump, who view such moves as a betrayal of American workers. To understand the scale of this issue, consider the contrast between General Motors and its competitors. While other automakers like Ford have faced similar criticisms for outsourcing jobs, General Motors has become the focal point of Trump's ire. Why? Because General Motors isn't just any company, it's an American icon. For over 100 years, it has represented the strength and ingenuity of American manufacturing. Trump's argument is that this legacy is being undermined by the company's decision to prioritize global efficiency over domestic loyalty. But let's not forget the bigger picture. General Motors' pivot toward electric vehicles isn't just about staying competitive, it's about survival. The global automotive industry is undergoing a massive transformation, with demand for electric vehicles growing at an unprecedented rate. To remain relevant, General Motors must adapt, and adapting means making tough decisions that won't always align with political expectations. The domino effects. This isn't just a fight between General Motors and Donald Trump. The ripple effects of this conflict are being felt across the automotive industry, the economy, and even among consumers. First, consider the impact on consumers. If tensions between General Motors and Trump escalate further, the result could be higher prices for vehicles. Tariffs on foreign-made parts or pressure to shift production back to the United States could drive up costs, which would likely be passed down to buyers. For everyday Americans, this could mean paying thousands of dollars more for a car, a significant burden in an already challenging economic climate. Second, there's the impact on the broader automotive industry. General Motors' decision to focus on electric vehicles has set a precedent that other automakers are watching closely. Companies like Ford and Tesla are already competing for dominance in the electric vehicle market, and General Motors' global strategy could force them to rethink their own approaches. However, if Trump's criticisms gain traction, it could lead to increased scrutiny on all automakers, creating uncertainty in the industry. Finally, there's the economic impact. The automotive sector is a cornerstone of the American economy, employing millions of workers and contributing billions of dollars to the gross domestic product. Any disruption to this industry, whether through tariffs, shifting production, or changing consumer demand, has the potential to ripple through the entire economy. But the ripple effects don't stop there. This conflict also raises questions about the future of global trade and manufacturing. General Motors' decision to embrace a global strategy highlights the complexities of operating in an interconnected world. For Trump and his supporters, this is a reminder of the challenges of competing in a globalized economy. For General Motors, it's a calculated risk that could redefine the company's legacy. So how did we get here? This showdown between General Motors and Donald Trump didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of tension, driven by three key factors: globalization, the rise of electric vehicles, and the collision of corporate and political priorities. The automotive industry has always been global, but in recent decades, the reliance on international supply chains and production has grown exponentially. For General Motors, operating in countries like Mexico is a way to reduce costs and remain competitive, but for Trump, this reliance on foreign production is a threat to American jobs and industries. This fundamental disagreement about the role of globalization is at the heart of the conflict. The shift toward electric vehicles is reshaping the automotive industry. For General Motors, this represents an opportunity to lead the market and align with changing consumer preferences. However, the transition to electric vehicles requires significant investment in technology and infrastructure, much of which involves international partnerships. This creates tension with Trump's America First agenda, which prioritizes domestic manufacturing over global collaboration. At its core, this conflict is about priorities. For General Motors, the priority is staying competitive in a rapidly changing market. For Trump, the priority is protecting American jobs and ensuring that companies align with his economic vision. These priorities are inherently at odds, creating a clash that was bound to happen. But here's the real question: could this clash have been avoided? Some argue that General Motors could have done more to align its strategy with Trump's policies, while others believe that Trump's approach to economic nationalism is unrealistic in a globalized world. Either way, the result is the same: a high-stakes conflict with no easy resolution. As the fallout from General Motors' decision continues to unfold, one thing is clear: this is more than just a business dispute. It's a battle for the future of the automotive industry, the American economy, and the relationship between corporations and government. The stakes couldn't be higher. For General Motors, this is a test of its ability to adapt and thrive in a changing world. For Trump, it's a test of his influence and his commitment to protecting American jobs. And for everyone else, it's a reminder that the decisions made by corporations and politicians don't just exist in a vacuum. They have real, tangible impacts on our lives. Trump's retaliation unfolds. The moment General Motors announced its bold new direction, the stage was set for a dramatic confrontation. While the company framed its decision as a necessary step to stay competitive in an evolving market, Donald Trump saw it as something entirely different, a challenge to his authority and a rejection of his core economic policies. And Trump, known for his combative style, wasn't about to back down. The former president wasted no time in responding. In a series of public statements, he accused General Motors of betraying American workers and prioritizing profits over patriotism. But words weren't the only weapon in Trump's arsenal. He made it clear that if General Motors wasn't willing to align with his vision, there would be consequences. Serious consequences. Trump's retaliation wasn't just rhetoric, it came with tangible actions designed to put pressure on the company. One of his most significant moves was the proposal of steep tariffs on vehicles and parts manufactured outside the United States. These tariffs weren't just a threat, they were a statement of intent. The cost of tariffs. To understand the impact of Trump's proposed tariffs, we need to look at the numbers. General Motors relies heavily on its global supply chain to produce vehicles efficiently and affordably. By manufacturing key components in countries like Mexico and sourcing materials from international partners, the company can reduce production costs and compete in a crowded market. Now, imagine a world where every car or part manufactured overseas is hit with a significant tariff. For General Motors, this would mean a dramatic increase in production costs that would inevitably be passed on to consumers. But the financial impact doesn't stop there. Tariffs could also disrupt General Motors' carefully calibrated supply chain, leading to delays in production and potential shortages of critical components. And it's not just General Motors that would feel the effects. The entire automotive industry could be thrown into turmoil. Other automakers, already grappling with the challenges of transitioning to electric vehicles, would face similar pressures. For suppliers, dealers, and even workers on the factory floor, the ripple effects of these tariffs could be devastating. But here's the thing, tariffs aren't just an economic tool, they're a political statement. For Trump, the goal is clear. By targeting General Motors, he's sending a message to all American corporations: loyalty to the United States isn't optional. A showdown of ideals. This isn't just a battle over cars and tariffs. It's a clash of ideologies. On one side, you have General Motors, a company that has embraced globalization and innovation as the keys to its future. On the other, you have Donald Trump, whose economic policies are rooted in nationalism and a commitment to protecting American jobs. First, there's the question of jobs. For Trump, General Motors' reliance on foreign manufacturing represents a direct threat to American workers. He has long argued that companies should prioritize creating jobs in the United States, even if it means sacrificing some degree of efficiency or profitability. For General Motors, however, the reality is more complex. The company's global strategy is designed to balance the needs of its workforce, its shareholders, and its customers. Then there's the issue of innovation. General Motors' push for electric vehicles is part of a broader effort to adapt to changing consumer preferences and environmental regulations. But this transition requires significant investment in research, development, and infrastructure, investments that often involve international partnerships. For Trump, this focus on global collaboration is at odds with his vision of a self-reliant America. Finally, there's the question of leadership. This conflict isn't just about policies and profits, it's about power. By standing up to Trump, General Motors is asserting its independence and challenging the idea that corporations should be subservient to political agendas. For Trump, this defiance represents a threat to his influence and his legacy. The ripple effects intensify. The most immediate consequence of this clash is the potential for higher vehicle prices. If Trump's tariffs are implemented, General Motors will face increased production costs that will likely be passed on to buyers. For consumers, this could mean paying thousands of dollars more for a car, a significant burden in a time of economic uncertainty. But it's not just about the price tag. The uncertainty created by this conflict could also affect consumer confidence. Potential buyers might hesitate to invest in a new vehicle if they're unsure about future tariffs, production delays, or the availability of electric vehicles. General Motors isn't the only automaker affected by this showdown. Other companies are watching closely, knowing that they could be next in Trump's crosshairs. For the industry as a whole, this conflict highlights the challenges of navigating a globalized economy while meeting the demands of nationalist policies. But there's another layer to consider. General Motors' focus on electric vehicles has set a new standard for the industry. As other automakers scramble to catch up, the pressure to innovate and the costs associated with that innovation will only increase. The automotive sector is a cornerstone of the American economy, employing millions of workers and contributing billions of dollars to the gross domestic product. Any disruption to this industry, whether through tariffs, shifting production, or changing consumer demand, has the potential to ripple through the entire economy. The economic impact isn't limited to the United States. General Motors' global operations mean that any disruption to its supply chain could have consequences for international markets as well. For countries that rely on automotive exports, the stakes are just as high as they are for American workers. The road ahead. As we look to the future, one thing is undeniable. This conflict is far from over. The clash between General Motors and Donald Trump has evolved into a high-stakes battle with far-reaching implications for the automotive industry, the broader economy, and the delicate relationship between corporations and government. For General Motors, the challenge is monumental. The company must weather this political and economic storm while staying true to its vision of a sustainable, innovative future. It is a balancing act between global competitiveness and domestic expectations, a tightrope walk that requires navigating consumer demand, international partnerships, and increasing political pressure. For Trump, the stakes are equally significant. His goal is to reaffirm his commitment to American workers, reinforcing his image as a champion of domestic manufacturing. By holding corporations accountable, he aims to set a precedent that prioritizing American jobs is non-negotiable. But for everyone else, for consumers, workers, and the broader economy, the stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just a battle between one company and one president. It's a pivotal moment that raises profound questions about the future of American industry and the values that drive it. Will innovation and global collaboration take precedence, or will economic nationalism shape the path forward? Ultimately, the outcome of this conflict will set the tone for how the United States balances progress with tradition, globalization with self-reliance, and corporate interests with the needs of its citizens. It's not just a story of today, it's a defining moment for the choices we make as a nation moving forward. The political fallout. The clash between General Motors and Donald Trump didn't just spark debates, it ignited a political firestorm, becoming a defining moment in the intersection of business and politics. What began as a disagreement over manufacturing and trade policies quickly evolved into a symbol of deeper ideological divisions in American society. Trump's supporters rallied fervently behind his decision to call out General Motors, viewing it as a battle for American jobs and economic sovereignty. To them, Trump wasn't just confronting a corporation, he was defending the core principles of American industry, standing up to what they perceived as unchecked corporate greed, and holding businesses accountable for favoring global profits over domestic loyalty. On the other hand, critics questioned the sustainability of Trump's approach, labeling it short-sighted and potentially damaging not only to General Motors, but to the broader American economy. Politicians and economists warned that escalating trade conflicts and imposing tariffs could ripple through the economy, driving up costs for consumers, discouraging foreign investment, and reducing the global competitiveness of U.S. companies. The divide was stark. Populists hailed Trump's hardline stance as a bold and necessary move to prioritize American workers and revitalize domestic manufacturing. Meanwhile, moderates and globalists cautioned that such aggressive tactics could have unintended consequences, potentially hindering innovation and undermining long-term economic stability. But the political fallout wasn't limited to public opinion. It had tangible implications for policymaking. Trump's actions sent a clear message to corporations across the country. Their decisions would no longer escape scrutiny. This conflict signaled a shift in how businesses and government interact, with potential repercussions that could redefine corporate strategies and economic policies for years to come. The corporate response. For General Motors, the stakes couldn't be higher. The company now faces a delicate balancing act, maintaining its global strategy while addressing the concerns raised by Trump and his supporters. Internally, General Motors has doubled down on its commitment to innovation and sustainability. The company has continued to invest heavily in electric vehicles, positioning itself as a leader in the future of transportation, but at the same time, it has made moves to demonstrate its dedication to American workers, including exploring options to expand domestic manufacturing. manufacturing. Externally, General Motors has taken a more measured approach. While the company hasn't directly responded to all of Trump's criticisms, it has emphasized the importance of global collaboration in maintaining its competitive edge. By highlighting the benefits of its international operations, such as cost savings and access to new markets, General Motors is making its case for why a global strategy is essential in today's economy. But here's the question: is it enough? The pressure on General Motors is immense. The company's leadership knows that its actions will be closely watched, not just by Trump, but by the public and other industry players. Every decision carries the weight of broader implications, from how it affects American jobs to what it means for the future of the automotive industry. The impact across the industry, the showdown between General Motors and Trump, has sent shockwaves through the automotive sector, reshaping the narrative for how corporations navigate the delicate balance between global ambition and national loyalty. For other automakers, the conflict serves as a cautionary tale, illustrating the complexities of pursuing global strategies while meeting domestic expectations. Companies like Ford and Stellantis now face a pivotal crossroads. Should they follow General Motors' lead by expanding internationally and embracing global supply chains, or should they lean into domestic manufacturing to align with mounting political pressures? It's a question with no straightforward answer, especially in a world where innovation and efficiency often require international collaboration. But the ripple effects extend far beyond the automotive industry. This conflict has sparked broader debates about the role of corporations in shaping economic landscapes. Should businesses prioritize national interests, even at the expense of global competitiveness? Or should they focus on staying ahead in an increasingly interconnected and competitive global economy? The stakes go beyond profits. They touch on identity, loyalty, and the values that guide corporate strategy. These questions don't have easy answers, but what's undeniable is that the decisions made by General Motors and Trump will create a lasting precedent. The ripple effects of this clash will shape not only the relationship between corporations and governments, but also the direction of industries worldwide for years to come. It's not just about cars, it's about the evolving rules of engagement in a complex, globalized world. The future of American manufacturing. As the dust begins to settle, the future of American manufacturing hangs in the balance. The conflict between General Motors and Trump has highlighted the tensions between globalization and nationalism, innovation and tradition, corporate strategy and political priorities. For General Motors, the path forward will require navigating these tensions with care. The company must continue to adapt to a changing world while staying true to its roots as an American icon. For Trump, the challenge is to demonstrate that his policies can deliver real benefits for American workers without stifling the competitiveness of the country's industries. But the stakes go beyond these two players. The choices made today will shape the future of the automotive industry, the economy, and the relationship between corporations and government. Will General Motors emerge stronger, proving that a global strategy and domestic loyalty can coexist? Or will Trump's hardline stance force the company to rethink its approach? And what does this mean for the rest of us? For the consumers, workers, and industries caught in the middle of this battle? Now that you've seen the full story, it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think about this showdown between General Motors and Donald Trump? Do you believe companies should focus on global competitiveness, or should they prioritize American jobs above all else? And how do you see this conflict shaping the future of the automotive industry? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. If you found this story intriguing, check out some of our other videos to stay informed on the latest in the world of business, politics, and innovation. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.